Welcome back to my next video, and today I'm going to be giving you answers you didn't want to questions that you didn't ask. So today I'm going to talk about why I stopped powerlifting all those years ago. Oh, I can't. Okay, so for those unfamiliar, powerlifting is literally just 3 exercises. You've got a squat, a bench press, and a deadlift. And all you're trying to do in those 3 is move as much weight as you physically can for 1 repetition before you move on to the next one. And if we're making it really simple, you're just moving a barbell from point A to point B. And for anyone who's a regular gym goer, if you're anything like me pre-powerlifting, you've probably done some of those or maybe all of those exercises at some point in the gym, or at least a variation of them. And that's kind of how I got into it. I accidentally was training these exercises, had no idea there was a sport called powerlifting, and then before I knew it, I entered into a competition and that was that. Sick story. So before I address my reasons why I stopped, I want to address all the positive aspects that surround powerlifting, you know, right down from its sense of community, and how that community helps encourage you, teaches you how to overcome adversity and injuries, and obviously powerlifting makes you look good.
What the hell are you?
Which attracts a lot of attention. So subtle sarcasm aside, what I will say is powerlifting did bring like a lot of positive to my life. Because if anyone knows me from high school, you know, I'm the last person you'd see volunteer to do the presentation first or put their hands up to answer questions. So for me to travel to my first competition, which was like an hour away by myself, to stand on a stage in front of this like crowd in a leotard of all things, you know, it's pretty scary stuff. And I was shitting myself the whole way to that competition. So there's that confidence it brought and a lot of other things which I'll talk about later, but I'll explain to you ultimately why I stopped powerlifting anyway. So brief disclaimer, I was a pretty average powerlifter, you know, this isn't me looking back at my golden years. So if I sound bitter, I'm sorry, but this is just my perspective and my experience that I got from powerlifting. So the number one reason why I stopped, like most things or most sports, you know, I got injured. But specifically, I had this one injury which was kind of reoccurring, and there was never normally an indication of when it was going to happen. It would just happen. And when this happens like over and over again, you know, you just get a bit sick of it. So the actual risk to reward ratio was way off. You know, like I said, I wasn't getting paid for this. It was just a hobby. So yeah. So the second reason I stopped, and I know it sounds lousy, but hopefully when you consider my first reason, it makes a bit more sense. So because I wasn't the best at what I was doing, I didn't see the point in pursuing it much further. So let me explain to you what I mean by that. My last competition, I felt quite demotivated, and I think this is why. My best squat was 215 kilos. You know, that was my favorite lift and my strongest lift. If I was to go back now, the regional record is 250 kilos. If I was to go one step further, I would have to squat 290 kilos for the British record. And the next stage, which is international, I would have to squat 313 kilos. Which is insane because that's almost 100 kilos heavier than my best 4 years ago. And I know it's not all about the records, but it's pretty good to have a record, you know. When you take into account things like the rates of improvement, you know, the more experienced a lifter you become, the harder and the slower it gets to actually make significant improvements. So when you're a beginner lifter, you might gain muscle and gain strength really quick in the first like year or two. And then it tends to slow down. You have to get a lot more specific. On top of that, again, I know I keep harping on about it, but being injured doesn't look good, especially when your job's physically demanding as a personal trainer. You know, when you're hobbling about and you're barely able to pick up weights and you're telling your clients to do this and do that for you, it doesn't look good. So the third reason, now this might actually say a lot more about me than anything else, but there were certain individuals which certain individuals in the powerlifting community would really irritate me. The powerlifting community itself is amazing, friendly, you know, they're welcoming and really encouraging. I couldn't say enough positive things about them. I made a lot of friends through powerlifting. But there's certain individuals who would be very, very preachy about powerlifting and almost like self-righteous, you know, where they'd be in the gym and maybe you'd see someone who they never squatted, benched or deadlifting, and they kind of have this point of view like, what the fuck are you doing? You're wasting your time. Sometimes it could be the other way around. Maybe they'd see someone doing a bench press or doing a squat which they did incorrectly, but rather than maybe assist them or give them a few pointers, they just kind of like openly mock them. And admittedly, I think I definitely fell into that category, where you think what you're doing because you're good at it is the best thing to do. And the truth is it doesn't suit everyone. And it pisses me off when you see PTs or coaches getting their clients to squat because they're forcing this agenda when it just doesn't suit them. So I just think it shows a lack of maybe experience or appreciation from these people anyway, that it isn't always the best way to, say, lose weight or build strength. It's just one method. It works, but it might not suit everyone. So yeah, that's that. Again, I know no one asked, but that's just my perspective. But if you made it this far, thanks for watching, and if you can, like, subscribe, share the video, and I'll see you next time.